wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is the show of people. Belize our hope, so to needless reason. Nobody feel about it, the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes. WB. And all the things that will feel happen like I got blue skies. And nothing make people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Get up, make every day count. Don't waste it, people. Do your part, play your role, get where you need to. You can tune in from work or in your vehicle. If you got a problem, pick up the phone. Why wait till the time? Call in, it's a show. It no matter even if you're at home. Just call in. WB. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB. Be yourself, see yourself. This is the show of people. Belize our hope, so to needless reason. Nobody feel about it, the vibe we dealing. Let's find a solution. Yeah. Love, respect, unselfishness and cooperation. That's how we need to build a strong nation. We are the people to make the changes. We are the changes. WB. And all the things that will feel happen like I got blue skies. And nothing that people get victimized. Let's work together for better. We got to unite. Belize, yeah. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time in. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Voice our opinion and place your calling. WB.
Good morning, Belize. Welcome. It's Thursday morning, and it's time for your WUB. Yes, warm, fresh, and ready to be served. Wake up, Belize Morning Vibes. Belize's premier morning conversation, Thursday morning, 15th of August, 2024. Are you up? If you're not, it's time to wake up. Wake Up Belize is here. Mose Hyde hosting and getting off the ground here from Mandela Drive, 3304. We want to welcome you to our house, whether it is you are listening or you are watching or you're on our apps or social media streams, simulcast coverage. This is your morning home, and we want you to be of what we call fully comfortable, getting ready to go. Trust that your health is excellent, your vibrations positive, great, your energy level should be highest, and then selfishly, we want to make sure that your morning has got some room. We could fit right in, be a part of that morning routine. We want to get you here, get you present, get you staying, get you participating. Yeah, we're greedy like that. But before all of that, we got to get you prepped. And that means we've got your morning news. Before we do the morning news, we've got the weather forecast from Crystal Gonzalez. and the National Meteorological Service. So let's get started. Here we go. Forecast is first.
Good morning. A moderate east to southeasterly airflow prevails. The 24-hour forecast. Skies will be sunny with some cloudy spells today and then partly cloudy tonight. Showers or thunderstorms will be isolated with the chance for a few more developing over the south. Then high temperatures for today will reach around 90 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 95 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 82 degrees Fahrenheit in the mountains. For tonight, low temperatures will reach around 83 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 74 degrees Fahrenheit inland, and 68 degrees Fahrenheit in the hills. Winds over the open sea will be from the east to northeast at 5 to 15 knots, and sea conditions will be slight. Then, low tides will occur at 1:35 this afternoon and 11:56 tonight. High tides at 8:03 tonight and then at 6:29 tomorrow morning. The moon will rise at 3:01 this afternoon and set at 2:08 tomorrow morning. Sunset is at 6:18 this evening and sunrise at 5:36 tomorrow morning. The extended forecast. Similar weather conditions are expected for Friday and Friday night. And now for the tropical weather outlook. At 6 a.m., Hurricane Ernesto was located near latitude 24.5 north and longitude 69.3 west, or about 605 miles south-southwest of Bermuda, with maximum sustained winds of 85 miles per hour and moving to the north at 13 miles per hour. And this has been this morning's weather report from the National Meteorological Service.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989, Creme FM presents the news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports. And now, the news.
And here's some morning news to get your day started from Krem's News Center. The government of Belize Wednesday issued a lengthy statement on the purchase of almost 15 acres of private property for the construction of the new tertiary hospital in Belmopan. The two parcels were bought at $6.9 million from Anizu and Kenizeng. And while the government release notes that the final price paid was less than what was being requested by the landowners, the release does not reveal that it was over $3 million more than the government's own valuation. However, the release does state that the landowners wanted way more. Our reports are they were seeking over $9 million based on their private valuation of the land. We'll have more on this later in providing the funds for the Free University of Belize land, which was the original site proposed for the teaching hospital. The release states that the land is 9 kilometers away from the George Price Highway and would require travel through residential areas. It currently lacks water and electricity, and government would have had to purchase land to build the required access road. The release also cited the difficulty of hospital staff going to and from the location. In the case of the pros of the new land, the release states that being along the George Price Highway, it will be more easily accessible and is located near the Belmopan airstrip, which would allow for easier airlift. It adds that with this option, UB will get to keep its land asset. The release states, together with the University of Belize, a top-notch healthcare facility and teaching hospital will be constructed in an ideal location that meets the diverse needs of our population and enhances the overall healthcare landscape in Belize. Dr. Osman Martinez, former Minister of Economic Development, CEO who was part of the negotiations in relation to the $90 million Saudi loan agreement for the hospital, was asked about the change in location.
The main thing with investments is that you have to look at empirical data and scientific studies. And if the scientific studies call for a decision, then it's important to note that a decision, as hard as it may sound, we will have to execute it because the investments is a lot of money. So whenever you have a huge investments, that's the reason why you will have feasibility studies. That is the reasons why you will have why you will have experts, to guide you. And I am sure that the Ministry of Health have received all these studies and recommendations from the experts. So it's important to be objective when you look at these things. Why? Because You know, like in Spanish, we have a saying, no, lo que comienza bien, termina bien. Whatever you do good from the beginning, it ends well. And so it's important that when we do big investments, that it's done well from the beginning.
Today we asked CEO in the office of the Prime Minister, Nada Garcia, about the move, and she told us she did not know much about it because her focus is private investment.
Do investment, but I do private sector investment. That is public sector investment. So I'm not very intimate with the process. I do know it's a Saudi loan, and I know that the Saudi loan is led by the Saudi people, and I know that the design of the hospital and all of that is being done through the Saudis, that they're going to start the process for bidding for contractors, but that is as much as I can tell you, because I do mostly private sector investment. Public sector investment is done by the Ministry of Economic Development.
I thought since that falls under the Prime Minister's portfolios, I thought that you would know.
No, I don't know. I know some. Like I said, I know where it is, how much it is, the part of the process that has started, but I don't know more than that.
Because obviously people are questioning how is it justified that you spent $460,000 per acre of land to move this hospital, whereas you had free land?
Yeah, I understand that Dr. Sabida was on Channel 5 this morning, and I think he's more technical in that area to comment on the move. I learned from the move from the media, actually, from the media. So that's as much as I can tell you.
Based on the abridged versions of the valuations from both parties, we know that both private and government valuers used $100,000 per acre as a baseline for an acre of land in that area based on a lot sale in 2020. The landowners reported that they intended to do a residential subdivision in the area and would get 6 lots per acre. They were able to show that a lot had gone from $65,000 in 2018 to $75,000 the next year, and then to $100,000 in 2020. The landowner's valuation for the two parcels totaled $9.3 million, while the government's totaled $6.14 million. To repeat, the government paid $6.9 million for the two parcels. Minister of Education Francis Fonseca was asked about the University of Belize land no longer being used.
Yeah, well, I've made it very clear from the beginning that UB has the land. We have always been prepared to make that land available to the hospital. The Ministry of Health came to the cabinet, the technocrats gave an extensive proposal and presentation to cabinet. And our view was, we have to accept what these technical people are saying. So that's our position. I should make the point because I think it's important that people feel like the land at UB is free. That's not the case. It would have required a few $1 million investment to upgrade it and to get it prepared. But of course, the argument is that's your university, so it's a good investment to make. So that's the point. But certainly from the Ministry of Education, we have consistently supported having the hospital placed on the university campus. And that was the position of the board of UB. But we can't tell the Ministry of Health what to do. They are the technical people, and they felt that the interests of the people of the West Belmopan would be better served by moving the hospital location.
And you are a veteran political administrator. One has to always be aware when preferred friends of the government land is purchased from them. How did they become aware of the land? Did they say, oh man, this land right beside the switch and in a really low-lying area that flood prone? Perfect. Right? Like, how are these assessments made?
No, well, you're asking me about things that I don't know about. That would have to be directed to, I don't know. That would have to be directed to the Ministry of Natural Resources. My understanding is that they reviewed, they looked at the land, and the Commissioner of Lands and Surveys whatever gave an opinion on the matter. I think they got private sector people to do as well. So again, the Ministry of Health, they have to make a determination. And as I can tell you, even in cabinet, when they made the presentation, I made the point to the technical people. It's important for you to explain in a very clear way to the Belizean people why you are making this decision. I made that point to them. That's several months ago. So I think that has, I think as you pointed out, an extensive release, I believe, was put out. So I don't think we're hiding anything. Whatever information is needed should be made available to the public through the media.
What is Mr. Zeng's friendship with personalities associated with the government? Was that a prevailing influence on the selection of this property?
I don't know Mr. Zeng. I don't know anything about Mr. Zeng. So I don't know if he has any, you're saying he has relations with people in the government. I don't know. I absolutely don't know. I've never seen or met the man. So
one of the reasons provided by the government for the change in location of Belmopan's new tertiary level university hospital is proximity to nearby highways as opposed to the free land it had access to on the University of Belize compound. However, climate resiliency concerns have been raised about the new site. Chief Engineer Evandale Moody addressed those concerns, confirming that the land for the capital's new tertiary hospital sits between two flood-prone areas, one of which will eventually need a bridge to prevent cutting off access to Belize City during periods of flooding. Moody explained more.
To some extent, in the past it used to flood because where we built the roundabout at Guanacaste Park, that area was prone to flooding. And so what we did, we lift that area in terms of the road alignment so that we could be above the floodplain. So if that is within that area, then it's in close proximity to that area that used to flood. Yeah, but it hasn't flooded recently because we installed some huge box culverts at that intersection just before entering the roundabout.
But then again, like we said, the climate change.
It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. But I'm more concerned about the Mount Pleasant one because I know that will cut off entrance into Belmopan.
Okay, so that means the hospital will be built between two flood areas.
Yeah, more than likely, yes. Yeah.
At the beginning of the month, a customs broker complained about delays in getting containers out of Port of Belize. He pointed to continuous equipment malfunction. The port management subsequently explained that 2 of 3 pieces of yard equipment were out of operation, one of them due to an accident. Yesterday, we asked CEO in the Office of the Prime Minister, Nada Garcia, if we can expect an upgrade to the port anytime soon. It has been 8 months since the government bought over the port. Her response indicates that any upgrades to the cargo section will not come anytime soon, and raised what the Prime Minister told us, that they are working with a consultant to look at the future of the port, whether it will remain only for cargo or they will expand it to include a cruise terminal.
What I understand, Marisol, the port is being looked at by government to see what they're going to do with the port. There's no doubt there has to be an upgrade in the cargo side of it. But I think there's still a proposal to do cargo and cruise at the same location. But again, we have some environmental issues there, any which way you put it. So I don't know. I can find out and see at what stage they are to be able to comment. Perhaps maybe Minister Mala is more in tune with what is happening there. I know he wants the cruise port to come on stream, but it's also extremely important that our cargo side of it is upgraded and is technology takes over for a lot of what is happening there. It's only
Dr. Gilroy Middleton is resigning as Chief Executive Officer in the Ministry of Transport, which falls under Minister Rodwell Ferguson. Middleton was the 3rd CEO in that ministry. The first was Marconi Leal Jr., who departed after differences with the minister. He was replaced by Adela Katsim Sanchez, who was then moved to Human Development during a reshuffle by the Prime Minister upon the departure of Foreign Minister Eamon Courtney. That was when Dr. Middleton was moved to Transport. There is no word yet on who will replace Middleton to become Minister Ferguson's 4th CEO. We are told Milton is going back to the University of Belize where he was a professor. And that ends your morning news update. We take a small break, we come back, you know what it is. We get down to the business of conversation. Yup, you're to listen to Creme Radio, you're to watch XTV. Small break, we'll be right back.
The first private radio in Belize since 1989. The news. Informative, accurate, current information, local, regional, and international news, weather and sports.
Here's another Creme Advertiser special for the months of July and August.
All right, welcome back. This is WUB. This is how you start your day, weekdays. Of course, we are glad you're here. You've arrived via radio, TV, apps, social media. Yes, turn on social media, just a kind of a reminder that we are available again on YouTube. XTV Belize, that's after being down for Serena, the YouTube prison. Put on punishment for violating YouTube. So it took us a while to get back, but we are back. And
we get bail.
No, not bail. That I am.
Not reprieve?
No, you serve your time, sir. You serve your time. When you serve your time, you are let the people go.
Yes.
So we are free, and you can now get us XTV Belize on YouTube. And you know somebody else that's how they get their content from us. Make sure you tell them that we are back on. And also, while I'm at that, let me just remind you that we want to see that subscriber amount below, because that helps us. If you want to help us, which we imagine you understand that this is really a partnership. This is really not we gladly serve in this capacity, but it's a partnership. You have your part to play. And one of those ways you can play a big part and demonstrate your solidarity with the conversation that you start your day with is not just watch it, subscribe. And if you're one of those persons who are a little bit uncomfortable with how you do that, listen, the big button that says subscribe, that's all you have to do that. Press that button and it make it easy because it wants you to do it. So you're there watching YouTube right there, if they're home, right there to watch me on TV. Why not do it before the morning is out? Make us see that number jump by the time we finish the WB for today. Now, with that said, let me quickly mention that we now have the presence of Brother Nuri Muhammad as our second host behind the desk. Greetings and welcome.
Good to be here, brother. Good to be here.
And this phone is not here for appearances. It's not a prop. It is a major part of what we do. We are hoping that you will take the time out and get to jump in. Indeed. Call us at 280-5848. All right. Brother Nuri, what's going on, sir?
Well, there's a lot to talk about, so we do hope that we'll get those phone calls at 280-5848. It's been an interesting process this week. One of the first things I want to acknowledge is my understanding that there is an $800,000 package being given to Beltrade for the purpose of small businesses. You know, we've been talking about the need for entrepreneurs, small businesses. Mr. Almandaris, if you remember at the summit in June, held in Los Angeles, spoke about the area of development that the government is focusing on, the SME, which is to focus on small and micro businesses. Well, the money is now here, according to the news release, and it's as much as $800,000, and they'll be distributing to between $5,000 and $20,000 for small businesses. So that's a great, great step. You know, we've been talking a long time about entrepreneurship is really the only way that we can go to fulfill this area of employment. We hear, of course, that big noise is being made about the expansion of the BPOs, and that I think the figure is now over 5,000 or 6,000 that are being hired, and more to be hired. But I think that while the call centers are important and they do benefit us, they have a short shelf life when compared to an individual business person pursuing, you know, using their skills to expand their business in Belize. So I think that's good news. I'd like to start with that this morning.
All right. All right, well, I think I might have had, I think somebody had called in, or maybe I might have bumped a little bit, but we have a call. Prem, good morning, WUB.
Good morning, Brother Nuri. Brother Mose, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes. And when I called this morning, no, for say, how to put it? Yeah, for say thanks to whoever the dismantle concrete structure BTL premises here on Princess Margaret Drive facing Marion Jones. No? Man, let me say this. The noise, whilst unbearable, you know, it's for its part out of text unstoppable, right? But then bring relief to midday, my friend, so one could listen to midday news. I love it, you see. Indeed, you could feel the heart.
Mr. Doris? Hello. All right, you had some, I don't know, your call dropped. I don't know if it's internet issue or credits issue, but you know.
Call us back.
Yeah.
That's easy. That's easy. Yeah.
So
I also want to congratulate Ivan Duran, Bilal, Sister Gina. There's so many names that I've seen in this Belize Music Project. They were here with you already. It's a great project, especially when I understand how expansive it will be, going all the way back to Mahogany Camp days and chants from those periods. So that should be a very important milestone for us. We have appreciated our music, but we've, in my opinion, appreciated more in silos than understanding a broad appreciation for the various genres that we have in Belize. We tend to think, well, it's only broke down and it's only the modern, we play reggae, we play dancehall. But we have a very wide expanse of musical experiences going from ordinary chakra and stick, going all the way up to sophisticated musics that we see and hear. So yeah, I'd want to just congratulate those behind that project and fully supporting that project.
yeah, so this week, really, the big story that has emerged and the big, our government has been put in a position where it has to defend its actions and how it has spent our money. I think there's always a need for us to be graphically clear in people understanding what we are talking about. This week, the government has been questioned about why it chose to spend over $6 million. Now it's been confirmed, I think it's $6.9 million on acquiring a property. Now, government acquires property, and there's no argument that can be made that acquiring property to put a hospital is anything that is not positive and good. Good that we get a hospital in Belmopan, but good that we get cars. So we take cars. Good morning, WB.
Yes, Doris, I get only me cut me off with my phone.
Talk to your phone, birds.
No, we don't cut you off. You know that.
No, no.
Got the phone there. If we cut you off, people want to see. You know, I could go on switch by with two, or we could cut you off, brother. So.
But you know, historically, we don't cut you off.
No, there's been some.
There were one or two times when you had to, when he was campaigning.
We have to.
Yeah, no, impress. I know that. I know how to watch the scissors. That's right, you got scissors now. No, I do that. I understand. No, well, I'm in the setup and then I can no, some of the movements, but I know you like the karate. Yeah.
No, I didn't.
No, that wasn't me. It's both of us are in pink, but that was Mose.
I know I'm highly mature when it comes to cutting off.
So, Chorus, get to your point. Get to your point.
All right, yeah, you're right. You know, when I said that, I said that Belize would do well with our working code, you know, our unnecessary nice code, you see. To me, Belize at 43 did not receive its relevant carry from 63, you see. And at 43, we must look yonder at 53 and farther at 93. Enjoy your TBS Renault. Thanks.
Yeah. So I just finishing up. The government has put out a defense of its decision again, just to repeat, so we understand that the quarrel is not about building a new hospital. And the quarrel is not about acquiring land to build a hospital. Even though in this instance, there is another piece of property where the hospital could have been. Apparently, they did their due diligence and felt that that wouldn't work for them, so they went looking for another property. And so we now know that for 15 acres of land in the Belmopani area, the government spent $6.9 million of our money. Again, the acquisition of properties is par for the course, it happens, but not being any real estate agent myself, I am not a land valuator. I have to agree, I think it was my good friend Will Mejia, who I think posted online, $6 million for 15 acres, where's the beach? Because unless the property that you're buying is maybe in the secret beach area of San Pedro or on the peninsula of Placencia or some prestigious, we are not saying that real estate is not. I am, even without being a real estate agent, I know Belmopan, the land is more expensive than other places. But at that cost, generally, the first thing that comes to my mind, I have to second Will, is that is there a beach somewhere? And so well, we have a call. Krem, good morning, WB.
Yes, Mose.
Yes.
I was hoping I could share a point, especially since Mr. Nuri. Morning, Mr. Nuri.
Morning, my brother.
Roberto Pata again, no?
Yes, Roberto.
Yeah,
okay.
I saw you yesterday.
But I heard a comment from a recently elected minister, and I remembered, and it triggered a memory of a comment that Mr. Nuri made. The comment that he made was that we have a low birth rate, and so we need to bring in more labor from the neighboring countries. And I remember, and Mr. Nuri can correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember hearing him say that we should allow more people from Haiti and Africa to come. And I'm a conservationist, Mr. Nuri. So when I start to hear that, and I know that we are overrun, the hospitals can't handle the load, the social services can't handle the load, and people are talking about bringing more people in, I get concerned. And I know that there's a topic that I haven't heard spoken about a lot. Maybe I just missed the discussion in the open forum. But I know we've had a shift from majority Creole to now majority Mestizo. And so my opinion is that there's a little bit of a fear that the Spanish can take over. And I think we need to have this discussion because in my view, and it's been proven, especially in Africa, where you've had minorities who have been the ruling party because they end up being a neutral ethnic group among multiple ethnic groups. And so I think we shouldn't have this fear, but there is that fear, and that's been a deep-seated fear left by the colonialists, where the Spanish must hate the Creole must hate the Garifuna, and then we stay divided. And I think as we go into our national month, our independence month, one of the things I grew up with is that all are with a one, even though we come from multiple ethnic groups. All are with a one, and so we shouldn't look on this from an ethnic perspective. Or I don't, as a conservationist, I look at it from an environmental perspective. How much can the environment handle? How much forest can we clear down before we run out of space? How much can we lose in terms of our waterways before we start going to wars over water? And that has happened worldwide. And if people don't know, the main river that feeds half of our population, the Old Belize River, half of that passes through Guatemala. So we have issues that we need to come together and face jointly. But I was hoping to open up that conversation, Mose.
Yeah, I think that is a conversation that we have. I think we've had multiple engagements on that over the years. I think that what you described there is what we would call you did a rough drawing, and obviously the analysis of anything requires the drawing that is more fine print, more specific, with more details, because any examination of our demographics and its changes has to accompany an analysis of the triggers and the driving forces behind those changes. And then there is a need for there to be a proper auditing and accounting of that reality. And those conversations are not always comfortable, so for the most part we avoid them. And for me, it is impossible for you to create a community where there is mutual understanding and mutual respect if we can't have and go through these uncomfortable conversations. I'll give you an example. I found it utterly incredible, felt almost surreal that in 2024 that there had to be some justification for why it is we are commemorating August 1st as African Emancipation Day. And the suggestion was made, Roberto, that by doing that, we are in a way disrespecting those people who are in our community who are not descendants of enslaved people and are not connected to that.
And if I could share more, because that thought occurred to me, but I realized that of all the people in Belize, I think having been uprooted from your homeland and brought across, completely suppressed and detached from your roots, that requires an extra effort, and it's doing a holiday will help us to recall the experience that we had and try to adjust, because the impacts of slavery are still lingering, especially in the Belize City.
So again, the morning is short. Before you know it, we have. Let me just. No. I'm not telling you not to camp out. It's just that this is not a topic that is one that this format really accommodates well, especially in the morning when we have guests scheduled, and then we have calls, and the callers have their rights to bring whatever topic, and so. It's not a conversation that I jump up in and just you would say off at the top of my head respond. But you know, and the important thing here that I wanted to attach to that comment, when I said that we need to do the proper auditing and accounting, because this is what creates an atmosphere of respect. So we are a nation, especially over the last 30 to 40 years, that has been shaped, that has been redesigned by immigration. So we're not talking here about an environment in which organically long-standing groups of people, because of you know, their amount of families within a bill or whatever reason, there is a gradual reshaping. This has really been almost unique in the way it has been restructured in a very short period of time. And whenever that happens, we have to make sure that we understand completely the forces that are creating that restructuring. Because we want to make sure that there is no malicious force, malicious ideology, or anything unfair or unjust, because that tends to be something that happens whenever you have such rapid rapid change within a community and a population. So just taking out that day, August 1st, and going along with your point that we have to move towards becoming a more connected people, and we are not going to be a more connected people because we say with our one and with our melting pot, like these are slogans. You become a more connected people by actions, by our conversations, difficult conversations, by our sincerity to understanding each other and respecting each other, and it's always a work in progress. And so when you have a situation where, and I'm glad that you were honest enough to say that you thought for a moment that having this particular day of commemoration could be something that divides us. I'm glad that you were honest enough to say that, and it's an understandable.
No, I don't think it divides us so much.
Yeah, I'm not saying that you do. I think you clarified that you accept that this is a good thing, but you did acknowledge, unless I misheard or misinterpreted, that you did have that thought of some sort that, maybe how this will work. Because there's, people have often said, well, oh man, what will they do? We're going to day for this set, and we're going to day for that one, and we're going to day for the next one. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I do a point, because one of the observations, and again, this is just anecdotal observation, the experience of the Garifuna, and you have to know that they are less than 5% of the population. Having that one day in November, of course we turn it into the whole month, because I started boom Garifuna music from the start of November. But having that one day, and I'm sure you are aware of the struggle the National Garifuna Council has been trying to keep the culture alive. And I see the same struggle within the Creole community. Rockdown music with the fight to keep it going. And it's not active. So having that one day, and that's why I think if the unit is strong and the identity is strong, then we are stronger as a country. That's just my thought about it.
Yeah, we have people coming into this community who are recent arrivals to this experiment called Nation State Belize, who are coming from areas that have different realities, different cultures, and different ways that they have different ideologies and different, as we all do, different biases, prejudices, because that's just that's the part of the human baggage.
Human nature, yes.
I call it human baggage, right? No,
okay.
No, you enter into a community. If you don't understand the value that people who are here inherently possess. So when I'm very deliberate in using the term audit and accounting, because indeed we must be able to quantify the equity stake that a people have in a process. And this experiment called Belize, that is not just from 1981, this nation state or history, this space began to be shaped a long time. So for example, our brothers in the South, fully conscious of their equity state in this territory, have gone on a 30-year journey to try to do some correcting that reflects that proper auditing and accounting. And that process has created a more enlightened, even though we go through the difficulties of it, but we now understand on the grounds on which they make their argument. So when we have a day, African Emancipation Day, August 1st, at the very least, it creates an opportunity for there to be an enlightenment as to where the who they melanated people, were a part of the fabric of this nation state, that where they come from. As the saying goes, we never drop out a hollow tree. And it's not just ceremonial or symbolic. There is an equity that comes with the fact that the very coming together of this space involved a significant extraction of work, of sweat, bodies, blood, over a significant period of time without any equivalent, fair, just return to that. Without that extraction, without that sweat, blood, the very bodies, this nation state that we call Belize would be something completely different. And so when we have these moments when we kind of get engaged with this auditing and accounting, that's when we, even if it makes you uncomfortable, that's when we become better, because we understand each other. And you don't look at me, and unfortunately and sadly, the reality is that people look at people in this community who are melanin, who are dark, who are black, and they are still under significant, misinformed, negative views and opinions about us, about who we are, and the way we will move forward is if we can sit down as we are able to, Alberto, with respect and navigate really difficult but no less real and important angles and positions and realities within this beautiful experiment we call home, Belize. So, and I don't know that this, but I agree with you that there has to be a deliberate process to make that space possible, to engage at this most important level on exactly where we are going. Because just getting up and shouting that, oh, we are celebrate Belize in September and with our one nation and all of that, for me that is like, that is rhetoric.
So
That's a rhetoric.
I have time to
Yeah.
share a quick response.
Yeah.
Because one of the things, and I see especially again, I know they offend me, California brothers, but I'm speaking well of them. One of the things where some of the other communities have adopted, and they know, and I agree, unfortunately, when one person out of the community misbehaves, they brand the whole community as that. So if you know Spanish, we chop up somebody, all Spanish that chop up people when they get it. And I have people very close to me, they carry my name, and the family tell you, when you go up there, I know you want to be independent, but you carry the family name. You do represent we. So when you go misbehave, you don't just say, whatever, but they misbehave. You say, let things go on bad. And so that is what I think we've lost within our community, where you are not an individual because of the color of your skin, you carry your whole community with you when you move with you. So when you go and work out at some theatre and you teach the man and the self, and sometimes that the silliest things they teach, Kool-Aid, then teach. And the boss says, can't keep you on because you're the thief. They run all of them to these people. When people do that, you can't they sell drugs. They sell a lot of these crowd come up and sell drugs. They're not said that individual, individual life. So that's what I think our young fellas have to learn. And unfortunately, there's also, I know I'll get into Dr. Gale's exposition on gangs in Belize. But that's a deliberate, almost like one guerrilla terrorist move. You know how they recruit young people into gangs. Because the older man, they're wiser. They don't do the same thing for the little bit of money where they get. And of course, the Belize has the most gangs. Can we do it to ourselves sometimes, more?
I think reality though, that mankind is a species of gangs. I don't know the extent to which it is a product of culture or it's a product of our very programming, but we are a species of gangs.
Well, we are social creatures, but I would accept the brand as gang. I don't know, I'm gang member.
So let me unpack that just a little bit quickly then. So,
all right.
So what do you call a nation state that fundamentally, and this is like the history of mankind is saturated with people who come together, they have one banner, they have their signs, and they got their weapons, and they attack. Whether it's
whether to defend yourself, because if you know in the north, we're not the same.
No, I think I'd ask you if you zoom out just a little bit more on the history of mankind itself that we know. And I am saying that there is nothing different between a gang that is operating, as we call them in a certain space in a community, as a gang of people that call themselves Romans that went out and destroyed the Goths and destroyed the Celtics and destroyed and acquired their territory and then taxed them and did it under their banner, did it with using the sword. There's nothing different between so many histories of people coming together in armies, using violence, spilling blood, extorting, taxing for their own benefit. That the fundamental things that we will look at a particular gang from one of our neighborhoods and say this makes them terrible people, we only have to look at world news to see evidence of this behavior on steroids, where the advancement according to tribe or according to nations using violence, not out of self-defense, but as offense, looking after their best interests and causing a long record of bloodshed and people just dying. It's what I'm saying here is that while they might have a different name for themselves, it is said that a duck, by any other name, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, then it is a duck. And if you look at some of the wars that are going on right now on planet Earth, and you hear them argue why they have to do this. Well, this territory used to be ours 300 years ago. And we want access to this, so we want access to the water, we want access to the oil, or we want... Brother, it's really and truly just, you know, it is more built up and embellished to look as if though the behavior is somehow more scrupulous than the one you're observing within our neighborhoods. But brother, it's no different. That's at
But
least
you
my
use
opinion.
The key word is defense, and that's why I've always liked that Belize refers to its armed force as the Belize Defense Force. If Guatemala decides to invade, not call me one gang member, because if they want to give me a gun, I'll go in at the front and I want to defend the Belize. That is not a gang member. That is somebody defending their family from being, as we've seen, when an armed force comes in like that, they rape and pillage. And so, I don't zoom out as much because I focus on Belize. I think the Belize experiment, as you call it, is maybe more of a recipe for success. Because we've seen those big civilizations collapse. Mesopotamia, the Moors, they've collapsed.
You know they say that. I read by the Nuri that they found that in Asia that when they do genetic studies, that they feel that the holy terror of that time, Genghis Khan, that they can find his genetics in a significant portion of these populations, meaning that when they come and then when they kill and then they take, Genghis Khan look like him in the lay seed everywhere. Listen. I'm not zooming out for try song smart. I don't Ghana University. I just zoom out for say that this is just a matter of my opinion. It's not to say that means that our gangs are not something we have to try to remove as a part of this experiment because that is not how we want to live. Why I zoomed out is to make the case though that the formation of a group of people acting in a way utilizing what is available to them and utilizing violence to survive is not somehow a Belizean creation or a Belize city creation, or for that matter, as they would try to describe it, well, our black youth creation. No, they coming together and utilizing violence, not for defense. Not for defense. You read history and you realize that, people may get up and look for one another and say, no, I want that land, I want that river, I want that woman, I want to live like that. And they were proactive and aggressive in getting that. So that's the point that I wanted to make, but I know you've been quiet, but...
No. The conversation is interesting, but we're into our 2 cents scam period. Thank you very much, Roberto. Hopefully I'll get a chance to respond. Can I just say one thing, though? I think what Mose was trying to also point out, of course he can put it in his own language, is that by nature, human beings are gregarious. We pull together. We are not isolated islandistic people. One point. The second point is that the word gang is not a recent term. It has only turned into a gangster term recently. Our early mahogany camp workers, our ancestors and forefathers, when we went out to the camp, it was called a gang. We were referred to as gangs, even during the stevedore period. Those guys are called gangs. They go as gangs. When we are in basketball, when the father was introducing basketball in the Catholic school, those youths were called gangs. So gang is not what we refer to today as a bad boy, as an evil person, as somebody that brings violence. It's rather a nature in us to pull together, not only aggressively, but also defensively. We protect ourselves, we protect our women, we protect our property by coming together. So the idea of coming together, it more is, what is the intent for coming together? Anyway, we're into 2 cents scam, and hopefully, Roberto, we could discuss it another time. Thank you.
Sure.
I promise that we can, I promise, and I've thought about it, and you know, we can have these conversations that we'll probably have to have one space, or one series, well outside of this kind of talk show. Again, these won't be comfortable conversations because if we're not be honest, then it don't work the time. But I would hope that by so doing, that even though it might make us uncomfortable, it will make us better.
Yeah, I also want to respond to your thoughts that I made the statement about Haitians and Africans, but we perhaps can pick that up after the break.
We will be back. This is WB, this is 2 Cents Scam, it's sponsored by 4 Point Security. right, welcome back to the WB Maker Belize Morning Vibes. Mose, Nuri Muhammad here, hosting on this Thursday morning, 15th August 2024. Telephone line 280-5848. But before we went to break, you said you wanted to just...
Yeah, just take a couple of minutes. I think the point that Brother Pot brought up is a good point. And I agree that we need to have this conversation in a prolonged way. And I'm hoping that we can organize a series, in fact, and looking at it in more depth. Specifically to what you asked, though, Brother Pot, when I made the statement, and I've made it several times, about our immigration policy seems to be skewed towards a specific allowance of persons coming into Belize and not specifically looking to diversify our ethnic composition in Belize. So what we've observed over the last 35 years is an overwhelming amount of what we may refer to as mestizos, not our own Banya mestizos, exponentially, but an increase of immigrants coming from across the border. And I think it's necessary to look at the fact that it has had some negative repercussions, but it has also had some very positive outcomes as a result of their coming in, our economy, our agricultural sector, etc., etc. So this is not to beat down on any individual ethnic group and to suggest, let's create an animosity from these new Belizeans. Many of them are here not necessarily by their own design, but a design and a plan that was way over their heads as well as over our heads. But when we look at it, when we try to analyze what has happened in the last 40-odd years, we see clearly that there was not this emphasis as Mr. Golson, and by the way, Brother Pot, Mr. Golson was the first one to say that we should look beyond our present composition of persons in Belize and recognize that we can invite people from other areas. And he specifically talked about Africa. I do believe that Haiti was also in that conversation back in the 80s. But there was never an effort to say, reach out to, say, Nigerians or others on the continent to say, Belize welcomes you. We have a small population, and under a very strict immigration process that we can absorb individuals from these other territories. We never even discussed it. While those who were coming from the Central American region did not start, by the way, only with that policy that we saw being implemented in the 80s. We saw what happened with that, with the collapse of Uganda and the importation, you may call that word, of persons of Indian descent coming across, leaving Uganda and coming and investing here in Belize. This is how the Bourgeois and others came in during that time. But there was not, and that was organized. That was a British Belize structured move. These people didn't just leave Uganda and drop into Belize. They came in a very structured program. Also, those who came across the border came in a very structured program that was promoted and orchestrated and managed by the UNHCR. But even before that, because of our border situation, we'll take the call and we'll go back to this.
Good morning, WB.
Good morning, gentlemen. If I may. I'm trying to figure out what you're suggesting. Now, are you saying that if we have a different ethnic makeup, different color skins of people, that we might do better as a nation? Is this it?
Maybe I shouldn't have broken off my thoughts so I could have completed it. And but you're going right into the middle of it. But
because at the end of the day, the Ghana country one believes, and everybody has to be. I heard the conversation a bit with the guy from the Garena guy earlier, no? The Garifuna fellow.
He wasn't a Garifuna, that's not a Garifuna brother.
Oh, he wasn't Garifuna?
No, sir.
He sounded like he was making the point, though, for the Garifuna of the whole settlement there and whatnot, and the study of the history. I don't know, the sound, but anyway, all right, I'd have to go back and see what it looked like. But
That's Roberto Pot, the same guy you were arguing with yesterday about shark attacks.
Well, at the same all right, interesting. All right, but at the end of the day, I believe, it looks like we have more out of common than I thought. Because I think until we get to the point where we recognize it as one country and everybody here as important and move one group or type of people more important than the other, and if anybody got the right to the Creole, because the Creole have been here, when everybody will come, we don't know them. Kind of mixed up and what's going on, this doesn't comprise belief for the most part. Everybody else has to fall in line with the fact that beliefs are for believers, man. And let me all understand and move forward, united, but everybody said back to the in our corner and pretend that they're so superior to everybody else. There's no good for the nation. That's my point. That's my 2 cents, man, you know.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Yeah. So having an organized immigration policy is not far-fetched. And so those who have made the suggestion, including myself, that we should look beyond, since we were looking at this ethnic disparity, the idea that the Belizean population of African Belizean have reduced significantly. They say now we're at about 25% when we used to be far more than that. That's clearly an immigration issue that should have been looked at by the powers that be, and an effort should have been made to try to correct that. What we did with this UNHCR project that goes back to the 80s is that we orchestrated the moving and the normalizing of the movement of people coming from Central America. That was going on even before the conflicts. As we said, you know, this is the reason why so many of our people are of mixed ethnicity in the West and in the South, because it's not a new thing to see people from Central America moving into Belize. But during the 80s, when the wars or the civil wars were taking place there was an orchestrated move, and the population of Mestizo ballooned in that period of time. And of course they have children and children's children, and so we've seen today that that particular ethnic group has grown significantly to be more than 48% of the population. So the suggestion was that if we are so enthusiastic about accommodating this group of people coming into Belize from Central America, couldn't we have also looked at an organized immigration, an invitation that would have allowed others to also come into Belize? And that did not only mean stopping with Africans and Haitians, which sometimes those words or those types of description cause a lot of us to say, I don't want to deal with no black people that come into this country. And that's also an old argument.
We're going to take this call and then we're going to break. Good morning, WB.
Hi, good morning, Mose. Good morning, Brother Nuri.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Belize. Yeah, Mose, in here, earlier this morning when you started the conversation, you would have touched on the land acquisition in Belmopan, but I don't know that due to the calls and the conversation has evolved that you have completely expressed your comments on that. But it's been on my mind, and I think that it's important that I offer my comments on it, primarily as a citizen of this country who has observed the blatant abuse of public funds by both public officers and the private sector, as well as elected government representatives.
Dean, can you come back after the break, because I don't want to have to cut you short. So just let us do the break because we kind of ran over time for first break. So I'm trying to catch back. Can we do that?
All right. I'll do that, no problem.
All right, thanks.
No problem.
This is Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. We'll be right back.
Let's take a journey through the core functions of the Social Security
welcome back. This is WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes, 30 minutes after 8 o'clock. It's Thursday morning, 15th August 2024. Two for the price of one, Mose, Hyde and Nuri Muhammad. Not that we're selling ourselves, but we are here to say that for the duration of this show, you get multiple hosts in this one space. And we do have a phone. It's there for a reason. You said you wanted to finish up, Nuri?
Yeah, well, just in terms of saying that it is a conversation that's hard to have in these short spaces that we have, because there's so much dialogue that really needs to happen in order for all of us to rise. If it's just the passing of opinion, then you're hearing how Nuri think, how Mose think, how Brother Pat thinks, but we need a broader conversation.
Graham, good morning, WB.
Good morning, Mose. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Brother Nuri Muhammad.
Good morning, sir.
You know, there's a serious issue with my black people in Belize. I said this with them. You know, one day I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to the market to go get some fish and everything. So on my way to the market, it's like 6:05. I see my homeboys outside drinking early in the morning, drinking that bottom stuff and that rum stuff, and they picked us early in the morning on that red top. You know what I'm saying? We got a bad issue of a percent of black people that wakes up early in the morning to hang out and drink, and they don't have no job. They complain about not having a job, but they wake up early in the morning and go drink early in the morning. My homies, I got rich friends in Belize, and I got homies too down the early homies too. But my time on homies, y'all mess it up. Y'all wake up early in the morning and just such a day drinking, and by 10 o'clock in the morning, the day is done on me. Because I experienced it with these guys. I jump early in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and by 9 o'clock, I'm drunk and my day is done. So no production for that day. You know, as far as my migration and everything, Belize need migration just like America. Belize is turning like America. Black people don't want to work in the farm industry, Mr. Nuri Muhammad. You know, we got 50 to 100 people working on the farm during the season, citrus industry, all my friends. And you won't see one black person working in that industry. You know, so I don't know how you going to inform the black people of working in agriculture when it's not existing anymore. Maybe they need 4-H clubs that no apparent back in the day. They need a 4-H club. So that's my point. That's my success with the day.
All right, good.
Is that basically the blacks are not into agriculture anymore. That's a fact. It's not an opinion. Only a few percent who own farmlands do that stuff nowadays.
But you know there's a history to that, right, brother? You do know there's a history to that. I read some many years ago about, it wasn't a study, it was an actual article about why South African miners that were, and I'm talking about during the time of apartheid, black people who were living in Soweto, living in impoverished condition, terrible condition, but had to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. They had to make sure that they get to the train that was provided for them. They would be in those trains almost like a slave ship, taking them into the mines. When they would leave the mines in the evening, heading back, instead of heading home, they would head to the pub, they would head to the bar room, and they would basically narcotize themselves with alcohol. The author was trying to say this was an epidemic of drinking and alcoholism, but it had a reason that these people were under very oppressive conditions, and you know, there was no way to say, man, I'm stressed out. Can I sit with a therapist? Can I sit with a counselor? Can I try to work something out? No, I have my family waiting for me. I'm receiving pittance from this working in these coal mines and these diamond mines, and therefore this narcotizing of myself, medicating of myself was the process by which they are doing. Now I'm only saying that to say that there's no justification for a lazy man wake up in the morning and the first place he go to Riverside or wherever, as you're pointing out, to go drink. There's no justification for that. But it also merits understanding what is going on there. Is it that you just jump out of your womb and you don't want an addicted person? Is it that you just love alcohol and bad man so much that you want drop sobriety just to go to that? There has to be some background understanding, not to justify it, but to have a better understanding of why it's going on. And I'll tell you something, brother. There are also mestizos and Maya and others who are doing almost exactly the same thing if you're looking.
Yeah, Mr. Nuri, you're very right, because my homeboys wake up oppressed. They don't know where the next meal is going to come for that day. They wake up trying to hustle or trying to find some breakfast for that day, 5 o'clock in the morning, because they don't have no plan for that day, like you said. But it disturbs me. They wake up and they start drinking because they're oppressed because of the situation that they're in. Like they can't do no better than the situation that they're in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I don't live like that. But I got, you know what I'm saying? I'm concerned with this. I got my little homies, so I got my little Ragamuffin Riverside group, and I deal with them mostly. I deal with the down-to-earth people more than the middle-class people in Belize. Because I'm from LA, so I don't deal with rich people in Belize. I got friends in that category, but I don't deal with them. I deal with my locals. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just kind of worried about their future because everybody's just waking up with no plan down there. You know what I'm saying? Because it's oppressed, like you said.
Yeah. Well, don't be too general, because a lot of we know they do that. And in fact, I believe the majority know they do that. So be careful, no paint the brush too wide, you know?
All right, brother, give thanks.
Anyway, guys, you guys have a good day. You know, I'm glad you're in that LIU and everything. I want to say one thing, you know, about Tristan Williams, right? To me, he's the hardest working chief of police in the world, or the commissioner. You guys talk bad about that man. The average commissioner in America sits in his office all day and eats donuts and drink coffee. That man worked from north to south of that country. I never met him before. I know his friends were saying thanks to his co-workers and everything. But that's one of the hardest working commissioners in the world. And you guys think a commissioner, all they do in America is sit down behind a table and just eat donuts and drink coffee all day. That man control that country all day long. Respect you, Mr. Chester Williams. Anyway, I'm done.
Good. There's a whole saying that you don't miss the water till the well run dry. And many are calling for his head and calling for his resignation. And you might get your way. Anyway, I also wanted to say that on the matter of the acquisition of this piece of land, big question mark as...
Graham, good morning, WUB.
Yes, I'm back.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I wanted to share my thoughts on what has been unraveling over the last couple of days, because I think this thing started on Thursday or Friday of last week. And in regards to the acquisition of, it's 7 acres, most at least from what I have seen, not 15.
Well, they said that 2 parcels, and that's the report. Again, I stand to be corrected, but yeah.
Yeah. And maybe the only person who can really give us exactly the proper documentation, of course, as the CEO in the Prime Minister's office suggested, would be the CEO in the Ministry of Health and Wellness. But here we are on an allegation of $6 million for 7 acres of land, which amounts to $400,000 per acre, besides a sewage fund. And for those who don't know what is sewage, it is feces, it is what we refer to in Creole as shit. Now, this is nothing new. I want to remind the Belizean people of this grass abuse that occurred under the Barrow administration, where we know one Pitts and one Vega were paid $400,000 for 1 acre of land in front of the Caribbean Sea. Now, as you rightly quoted, Will, where is the sea? So we have one government who set precedence to pay $400,000 per acre in front of the Caribbean Sea, and another government came after, and if you notice, a lot of the decisions and trend of this administration seems to be simply mirroring and mimicking what the former administration did, and so really no difference, 6 of one and half a dozen of the next. The only problem with this one is that while the other one would have paid $400,000 for an acre of land in front of the sea, this group paid $400,000 for an acre of land beside a sewage fund. Since Friday, they have been sending out their messengers, and I think it's important that I remind the leadership, especially the management team that made appearance yesterday on the news to try to explain this thing away. Sometimes it's better to keep your mouth shut and be taught a fool than to open your mouth and remove all doubts. This matter cannot be explained away. It's an insult to the Belizean public, it's an abuse, and I want to say that if you look at Belmopan would have, outside of the UB land, which no feasibility study was done in terms of the costing for accessibility, whether it be to the George Price Highway, to the Southern Highway. So this nonsense about how far away and no light and water is BS. I can tell you that recently, currently there is available land, plenty of land, in the hundreds of acres of land, about 2 or 3 miles from the George Price Highway, near the G&W housing site, which can be accessed right in front of the Belize Gas Company, or the National Gas Company, the Bowen and Bowen Distribution Center. So there's a lot of remote areas for such a facility, and I can tell you the acreage on that side is only 15,000. So about 2 miles away from where these, I have to choose my word while when I want to describe these people, but anyway, 15,000 an acre, on 2-3 miles away from where these people went and spent taxpayers' money, and now they send one bunch of, I don't know what to try to explain this nonsense. I think the best response that I've heard so far is that from CEO Garcia yesterday when she said, look, I'm not a touch that. I deal with private sector investment, speak to the other people. All the others who have tried to speak to this thing have made a mockery of us and have made a fool of themselves. And I think that, again, we know that there is gross abuse and corruption in the Lands Department. We continue to wait for the Auditor General since 2010 to go into the Lands Department and tell us and show us these abuse that has occurred where acquisition of land is concerned. Again, not to harp on that, but her term comes to an end this month. 2 years ago, she was supposed to train back. The Constitution was changed to bring her back, to provide for succession planning. We're at less than 15 days away from the expiration of her contract, and the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance have said absolutely nothing as it relates to that office, which continue to fail, because if that office was doing its job, these type of things would have been exposed. I want to also touch on the Treasury Department, because I think that there is much more to that robbery in Dangriga that occurred, whereby the entire safe was removed. About 2 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, the heads of department in Dangriga, primarily, and the officers in charge in Dangriga, at the Treasury Department, the Immigration Department, and there was one other, belief that Services Department. They would have signed on to a letter objecting to being moved from a very modern facility in Dangriga to be moved into a political financiers building, which was unsafe. The building was not only leaking, but more importantly, it presented health hazards in terms of moves. And in the immigration section, I know there was a room whereby the officers referred to it as the fry room, because they said if you're going there when water in there, there is a good possibility that you would be electrocuted because of faulty electrical. We went there. I went there. We saw a building, and we saw that the government was doing a disservice to these people to move them out of a secure, modern building in Dangriga, which hosted a series of government departments, into a political, crony and financiers building.
That building that they didn't take was a government building?
No, they were also renting from that entrepreneur in Dangriga. But it was a brand new office complex that hosted multiple, about 4 or 5 government offices, which so there was like a one-stop office in Dangriga. They decided they want to go into this old building, which was unsecured. And then, of course, we spend thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to retrofit and to ensure that one of their political potential cronies could benefit from this administration. A year ago, the building was broken into, and again, money was stolen, much to the detriment of the Belizean public. Nobody asked the question, what does the financial artist say? Was the cash properly secured? Who is to be held accountable? What are the measures that we'll take to ensure this does not happen again? Now, if you look at some of the regulations that govern finances, it will state the standards that must be in place. If you're going to keep cash, you have to have a safe, you have to bolt it down. This one had a padlock on it the first time they jumped in there. Whether they replaced it, I don't know. But the fact that they went back in there a year after now and cleared the whole safe, I think serious questions need to be asked of the Accountant General and what is she and her management team is doing to ensure that these treasury departments across the country, we can't just go to the public officer and say, well, they want inside job. She has to be held accountable. When Trump gets shot, they didn't go for the security officers who did not secure the perimeter. They got for the head. Because you have a duty to ensure that you are visiting these treasury departments to ensure government assets and government money safe. And the Accountant General, I don't want to knock her, but she has a duty and a responsibility to have ensured that that officer in charge in Dangriga had a secured facility. And again, blame must also lay at the foot of the Ministry of Public Service, who moved those departments into an unsecured building that has been burglarized and will continue to be burglarized because it is not fit for purpose to be hosting public officers. And lastly, I really want to sympathize with the Belize Peace Movement, and I know my words of sympathy is no comfort, because I think as a citizen of this country, I have to take responsibility for me as a citizen. All of us have to take responsibility that we did not do all that we could have to lend the support to this group who is fighting for us to ensure that our democracy is safeguarded. I think that the ruling coming out of the Supreme Court to say that the politically appointed Elections and Boundaries Commission has done its job is utter nonsense, but that the court ruling, it speaks again of the quality of people perhaps that we're bringing into our jurisdiction, and that again our Judicial and Legal Services Commission again appointed politically, so everything was corrupt. I keep saying your Integrity Commission was corrupt, your Judicial and Legal Services Commission was corrupt, your Elections and Boundaries were corrupt, your Security Service Commission are corrupt, your Public Service Commission are corrupt if they are all appointed by the Prime Minister, or by, and not this Prime Minister, but by the Prime Minister, because then these are all political appointments, and so we will never get the best.
I wanted to say just before you go, Dean, which I didn't get a chance to finish saying when I opened up the topic this morning, was that again, I don't have any experience in a real estate or anything like that, but my assessment of any situation when it comes to me as a citizen and my measuring and weighing it, because I think it was the newly sworn in minister Martinez, who said, you know, this thing is based on empirical and scientific assessment. And I want to say yes, absolutely. So this is my empirical assessment. This is how I assess the empirical data that has been provided. And I think you made a very good point just now, Dean, in saying that if we are going to say that you opt not to utilize the UB property based on the assessment, then provide the feasibility, the actual exercise in the feasibility assessment. You would have what we call the documents that would be provided to you by those who do this for a living. So you let us see that. But this is how I responded to it and how I think about it. So I am not a great businessman. I never claim that. I don't even know if I'm a good businessman. I don't a broke businessman. But what I can tell you is, I put myself in the shoes of that decision making, and I say, I am looking for a property to put a new studio for XTV. It's a property that we already own, but maybe it's not close to us. So it's a bit inconvenient. There's another property that, quote unquote, is more conveniently located. But that property is not for us. And that property, the owner could say want anything that for you, and your price where you have not based only on what the valuation market value or whatever, based on how you feel and how much you want to sell. So if you're not really eager to sell, or if you know how to negotiate, you start high, right?
Yeah.
So the owner could say, I want 100 mil. And you could say whatever you want. It's my thing. If I say the only way you can get is that if you give me 100 mil, nobody can tell me I did nothing wrong. So the owner wanting whatever the owner want, the way the owner wants. So back to how I put myself in the shoes now. This property, this owner said, well, yeah, you could get it, but for this sum, now when your money in your pocket where you fight and struggle for, absolutely one of the first things you want to know and broke down is how much you value convenience.
Yeah.
Do you value convenience to the tune of whatever amount of money that person wants for you? Or do you prefer the other things where you could do with your money and keep your money in your pocket and say, well, I want the inconvenience, but I want to deal with my property? Mm-hmm. In my view, business people make those decisions all the time. And whenever they make their decision with their money, they do it in a way to say, when we negotiate, I know whether my amount where I going. And if you don't want to accept that, then I can't do business with you. This is how much especially if you could give an evaluation, get somebody work with you and do an evaluation, say, yeah, that man want 100 mil, but that property is 1 mil. The way we negotiate and say, but I'm not going higher than 1 mil half. Because my people and tell me the value of that than 1 mil. So the question that I would ask anybody who stand behind this decision, the question that I have to ask, is it the choice you would have made if it was your money? Like, mention all your scientific, empirical, and all the different arguments and everything. But I also want you with a straight face tell me that that's the choice you may make if that be your money, if that be your business, or is it an easy choice to make? Because ultimately, in this case, I imagine the part of the Saudi loan, and so the Saudi loan now and get paid back by the people who are saying that this was a good use of that money. The Saudi loan will get paid back by all the way. All the way, and Papa paid that 90, I believe, that we are getting from the Saudis. And it brings us back to the issue of why, when we spoke about accessing a loan from the Saudis, because there is a difference based on who you're borrowing the money from. And we were concerned about the kind of, it's like, when you're dealing with the Saudis, I don't know, they want their money back, but I don't know that they are going to be like the IFIs where want to give you we want to scrutinize and hold you accountable, like for whatever. I go on level of confidence in the Caribbean Development Bank. I believe that they have a culture of making sure they scrutinize, and so sometimes their friend and supporter Dr. Leslie told me once that he had connected a loan of $50 million to one of the agencies, ministries of the government, but that they didn't want it simply because that loan came with a lot of strict strings, and if you spend on copper, it has to be explained, and was that the best case for the copper? Generally, our people don't want to have that kind of scrutiny. I don't know, but it seems to me that what makes the kingdom of Saud one place where we want now go for money is that I don't know that they have a reputation as being where they look over your shoulder when you spend that money. I don't know. It doesn't seem that way, and that's another part of the whole consideration. But again, I boil it down to, if it was your money, out of your pocket, your hard-earned money, and you have to pay back the kingdom of Saud the $90 million, is this the choice you would have made? And if your answer is yes, okay, I would have said, good, but I wouldn't want you run my business. You could run your own business. Best of luck, brother. That's my position on it, Dean. I want to thank you for your call. I got to go a bit.
And just quickly, more BTL have about 5 acres to sell in Adamopan. I encourage the business sector and the Belizean public to sign out to cars. Convention Hotel de Pansir, I encourage the Belizean people those are center Adamopan. Center. And I guarantee you that even at almost 5 acres at BTL, the BTL compound at the back, all of that is for sale right now. The entire market area that was acquired, the Carl McCall building, that entire area in front of Compre, the Social Security would have acquired that from Recondent for about 2.3 thereabout. This is corrupt, and it is embarrassing when you see public officers trying to defend stupidness that their leaders force them to do. They have no principle, and I personally have no respect for them as professionals when they get on TV and speak nonsense. With that, good morning, believe, stay woke.
All right, when we come back from break, you can chime in. But anyway, this is WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. We'll be right back.
Snackers chips are more
I found though that, so my comments is not directed at the deal itself, because as I said, I would be speaking in an area that I don't have the knowledge. But what struck me was that it appeared as if this was not just an easy move. I got that sense from reading what Mr. Francis said. As you know, he's the Minister of Education and therefore over UB, and apparently would have wanted the university in that area, but said that while he disagreed, he bowed to the technical people. The Prime Minister also talked about the technical people, so apparently...
Morning.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Morning, Belize Relations. I'm just not coming quickly. Noticed something earlier that, of course, make me ears turn up about having what spaces have on broader conversation, really about our stories of this country. And I just want to tell you that something that I definitely support. Again, I have to say, I would prefer whatever form it is, or whoever the people would have, to be reasonable people, open-minded, and willing to hear different information. And that's really important, to move away from the singular narrative where the state has been given. And to just touch on two things where I think it was Brother Nuri who may have brought it up. When it comes to African descendants planting in Belize, the Convention of London in 1786 said specifically that they couldn't have no plantation or fortification, and that Spanish officers have to do inspection twice a year to make sure the other conditions when they agree to never get violated. Then last but not least, and I just want to cite that a history of Belize by Nada Dobson, because I'm an ear perk up again when I hear persons upon the news about scientific and evidence-based data. We have to hold people accountable for the things that tell them to cite their sources, media workers, when they say their things. In 1861, 1871, 1881, they had people that this country were banned at other places. In our years, 1861, 1871, 1881, there are people from Central America and the Yucatan in the thousands. So, anytime we have their kind of conversation, it's very important that we, one, cite sources, and two, if possible, because the intention of bringing clarity or adding information, cite the year, so people could in their mind, and if people listen to it, and in the land, just like why they listen to the land. So we try to go for root stories, so people can have a full vision of, when I got into it, I got to African descendants visualized as black people, and be very clear that African descendants visualized as black people, because the narrative, I believe, not the ethnic group, when the historical record shows the African people racialized as black people. So I'm somebody complained yesterday, and you could please check this with Belizean people, that you can't buy the number 11 anymore, to believe it or not. This is just something new to me. I hear it say that 11 no play all year. So when people go for ask to buy the number 11, the vendors are saying the number don't sell out already. Now how the bloody hell number one sell out? Like,
yes, we did. Yes.
And listen now, that the Ministry of Economic Development, I think that the regulators for the Bolivia media workers, and I don't encourage nobody for the bilateral, even though I was broadcast the crime radio. But this is the kind of story where everyday people matter about. Just like how the cost of control gone up the one shop on the 1st of August from $150 to $2. They are all matter to we people. They don't know the kind of encourage their bad habits, but they are the kind of go on story where they really want to hear about.
Yeah.
When it go on, the people who are great Bolido with vendors to tell people that the number 11 sold out and they know you sell the number.
Yeah. I heard it all in the villages that I visited over the weekend. But the question that came to my mind, Yaya, is what would happen if the number 11 played?
That's why the people tell them, say, the kind of play all year, and everybody buys, they must say, I'm broke there, and no money, so they try to prevent that.
Yeah.
I just tell people the number and pull out.
Yeah, and people are.
I don't understand. I don't understand. I know into Bolido.
Neither am
I could even be considered anti-Bolido, but I know preach it. I just respect that that's a choice that people make. But just from a standpoint of logistics, and maybe I don't know the process well enough, how can a number not be available? Like, I don't understand how a number. This is a game that is built on chance, right? I can't imagine that there is a cap on any number. So that if today, again, let's say today, every single body decides, well, you know what? I want to spend all my money what I have in my pocket upon a number. Is it that we are saying here that it's a first come, first served basis on any number for that matter? I can't imagine that you can have a system so designed, because we are sell 100 ones, 100 two, 100. My understanding about leader is that's not the way. We not sell we not sell mango. We sell something where
virtual. Really.
Yeah, really, it's just I have the opportunity to say I want upon that number. Yeah. So I can't understand how that number, any number for that matter, can be sold out. But again, maybe this opinion I have is based on faulty understanding of how it works. Maybe they do only print 500 of any particular number. I don't understand that. Like if you know the business that sell number and this is the number where everybody wants, and then I stand to be corrected. But my understanding of probability is that the probability doesn't change on any particular night simply because that number has not played for a long time. So it is a faulty, but it is still what we believe. And if you are responding to that by trying to reduce access to it, they're not a bad mind or foul play, and we can't support that, even though I ain't no defender of Bolido, but I just to say, it just seems to make no sense at all.
When I did hear about it, interestingly, it was the 11th of August. So I was trying, and I am not a Bolido player, jackpot, that's not my area, but I was trying to figure out why on the 11th. But maybe it's beyond the 11th. I don't know if Bolido knows, but they said on the 11th.
Free the 11, man. Free the 11. People they want. If the low 11 they want tonight, make them take the 11 tonight. And if that means the 11 go play, you get Hamburg, you get Hamburg.
Yeah. And what people may say, is that.
Indeed, only have another way the people are regulated. They have to come forward and explain how Bolido is managed.
Yeah.
So I had a vendor would only buy like 2,000 by 11. So when they don't sell out that 2,000 by 11 and you go there, and I tell it to any other number, they tell you, number I only buy a red contract one. No, indeed, this is not how Bolido for work. I look like when the agent people take it over, I guess we never ask and the state never tells me how this works with 222. So now they need to go forward and tell you how this works with 222. No.
I would think that the way it works is you got a machine, and when somebody say, like when you go buy credits, when somebody say they want so much for this and this number, you simply put in a number and you sell that ticket to that person. I would think that the idea that you have a limit makes no sense at all.
Or to cancel it out altogether.
That means that the game has a rig in it. There is a rig, because it means that, well, maybe not a rig, because then it also limits the amount of time, the amount of money people can spend, which limits how much money you can take in. But it doesn't flies in the face of logic for me that you would want that's a scenario that you would want.
Yeah.
At minimum, there are questions, but I know it.
Yes.
You like when me and you quarrel now.
I love that.
Like when me and you
I love that. I wondered what would happen.
Why drink out of the cup Nuri. I turn out the baby
We're going to a final break and come back. I did watch the cup and I said, but at the first time I see this cup on the set. And I almost asked him. I almost asked.
It's a gift to me from my dear beloved brother Jeremy and Enrique. It's a gift to me.
Listen,
no, he's also my friend, so maybe you don't mind.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to drink up out of people cup. Neither if people say that ain't cup.
But in the regular area with the cups then, that's why I just selected it.
You know what I tell you, drink behind people are drunk? Alright.
I gotta go to the last break and come back, yeah?
Here's how to be a part of Benny's homepage.
All right, welcome back. We are done for today. Tomorrow morning, Brother Nuri is going to be here. We hope that you have a great Thursday. As always, we give thanks for the team, give thanks for Brother Nuri being here.
Thanks for you being here, brother.
Larry G at Creme Radio, Mr. Cliff, Mr. Glue himself at XTV, and in the control room is Christy Flowers and Ala Ono.
Yeah.
We make this one daily habit.
Good cause today.
Give thanks. Stand strong, stand firm. For now, we're gone!
Wake up, Belize. 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 Another day is here. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. We gotta keep moving. Na 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 na. Wake up, Belize. Wake up, Belize. Everybody gotta put their time